Were you hit with IRS penalties during COVID? If so, the IRS may owe you money. I'm Deltrease Hart Anderson, keeping the IRS out of your pocketbooks, wallets, and bank accounts. Welcome to another episode of Tax Problem Solved, where today we'll break down two recent COVID-era court cases that could change everything about what you owe, what you paid, and what you may be entitled to get back from the IRS. So, two recent court cases from the COVID years reveal that the IRS may have added penalties and interest during the pandemic that were not legally allowed for them to add. And this matters, y'all, because if your balances grew between 2020 and 2023, whether you paid anything on those balances or not, some of those charges may be wrong. They may need to be removed, and in some cases, the IRS may actually owe you money back. So, who does this actually affect? If your balance with IRS went up during COVID, penalties, interest, or both, then it may have affected you. So if you filed a late return between 2020 and 2023, if you were already on a payment plan and the balance kept growing, if the IRS added failure to file penalties or failure to pay penalties, if you were told that refund you were trying to make a claim for, it was too late to make that refund, or if you just owe, and especially for these people, if you owe big balances like 10, 20,000 or more in the hundreds of thousands, and you can't understand what happened, why your balance exploded, then you may have been affected. You need to pay attention, okay? Because these court cases didn't just apply to a few people. They affected millions of taxpayers, millions. I repeat, millions of taxpayers. And these taxpayers were hit with the charges that the IRS sent out. And the IRS may not have been allowed to add those charges. Now, I know it sounds like I'm repeating myself, but I'm going to say it again in a different way. I'm saying it for the people in the back. This may have affected you if you had a balance exploding during COVID, you were already on a payment plan and interest kept piling up, you filed a late tax return between 2020 and 2023, and this could be a business return or an individual return, doesn't matter. You got hit with failure to file penalties. If you got hit with failure to pay penalties, you were told your refund claim was too late. You owe the IRS. It doesn't matter how much you owe, but now you owe them that and even more in penalties and interest. Then there is a real chance that the IRS may have overcharged you. Okay? Now, I'm just saying it just in case, because sometimes, and if you're anything like me, you might have to hear the same message different ways. So that's why I'm just putting it out there in different ways in hopes that you could catch the message. All right. So when I first read the details of these two court cases, I literally said to myself, I said, this could help a lot of people. How do I know? Well, after looking at those court cases, I started going back and looking at some of my own clients' cases that were closed, cases that I have currently. And I started seeing some shocking stuff. I'm talking about taxpayers with $30,000, $50,000, $80,000 in penalties that were added during the COVID years. And here's the thing. A lot of those charges may not be valid anymore. So that's what makes this so important. Those two court cases are super important because if the IRS added penalties during a period when they weren't legally allowed to, those amounts may need to come off. So can you imagine getting a reduction of $30, $50, $80,000 on what you owe? That is massive, okay? And then some cases, it's not just, okay, the IRS is going to credit you. In some cases, the IRS may actually owe you money back, and that would give you a refund. Those are some life-changing numbers to most people, okay? Now, let me give you a few real-life examples so that you can see how this plays out. I've seen a taxpayer that has a balance, a small balance, around $12,000, and they had that balance before COVID, right? By the time 2023 rolled around, that balance had jumped from $12,000 to $20,000, and mostly because of the penalties and interest that were added when? During the pandemic, during COVID. All right? A big chunk of that now may be removed. That taxpayer might be able to get a chunk of that money removed, okay? So we're talking an $8,000 difference. Again, that is big money, all right? Especially when you felt that you shouldn't have owed that money in the first place. I've also seen people that filed their taxes in like 2021 and they filed the tax return late and they got hit with a failure to file penalty because they owed money. Well, under the court cases, under these new rulings, that penalty may not have been legally applied by the IRS, okay? Then I've seen people with older balances, 2017, 2018, 2019, where the interest kept growing during those COVID years. They were already on a payment plan, but the interest kept creeping up, okay? They were paying every month. Some of them are still paying on those balances every month, doing the right thing, but those balances kept growing, all right? Some of those extra charges may now be wrong as well. And that would make the interest and the penalties refundable if they finish paying off their tax bill already. And if not, it could at least reduce what they still owe because the IRS may put a credit on the account. All right. Now, these aren't small amounts I'm talking about. We're talking in some cases, there are thousands of dollars. Sometimes there are tens of thousands of dollars. And then other times there are hundreds of thousands of dollars that may not have been allowed in the first place. And let me just let you in on a little secret, okay? Because this isn't just big news for you as the taxpayer. These rulings are all the buzz in our little world, in our tax resolution world, okay? Everyone in this space, not everyone, but a lot of my colleagues that I'm talking to on a regular basis, we're talking about these court cases because, one, we're geeking out on it, right? But because we have the potential to change outcomes for a lot of taxpayers in a major way, okay? So as a fellow nerd, or I should say as a fellow tax resolution specialist, I should say, we thrive on getting our clients like the best possible result. So imagine how I feel when I'm like, I can save my client or I could get some money back from my client. That feels good, all right? Especially when it's legit, okay? That's the work that I love. And these court cases have opened the door for us to finally get some relief for some people that didn't even know it was possible, all right? Now, I'm going to put it out there. Y'all know I never want to sell you a wolf ticket. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Not everyone qualifies, but a lot of people do qualify and they don't even know that they qualify. So if you're in that not knowing category, this is what I need for you to do. I need for you to look at your IRS account and see what the IRS charged you and when they charge you. The next thing I need for you to do is identify anything that happened between January 2020 and July 2023. Okay? That's the COVID era that's in question. Then I need for you to determine those charges and whether those charges should have been paused. If they should have been paused or they shouldn't have been added, then you may be able to request a refund or an abatement of those penalties. And yes, even if the IRS already told you no, these cases, remember, have changed the game. So you go back to the drawing board and you go back and repeat those steps, okay? Now, next Wednesday, I am hosting a live session. It is free for everyone, whether you are a client of mine or not, whether you were thinking about becoming a client, whether you're like, I'm not ever becoming one of your clients, I still want you to attend. I'm hosting a live session where I'm going to walk you through step by step on how this is going to work for you. We're going to talk about the types of activities that you need to review on your tax account, why that transcript matters. I'm going to tell you what transcript you need to actually pull, okay? We're going to go a little bit further into the 2 actual court cases because this podcast is just not enough time to do so. I want to help you spot the charges that may be wrong and what documents you need, as well as the steps that you need to take before it's too late to get your refunds or credits on your account, okay? So if you had interest, penalties, if you made payments, if you had refund offsets, late filings, or IRS balances during the COVID years, I really want you there, okay? We're going to have in the show notes a link to the webinar. It's not ready yet, but it will be ready by Friday. By Friday morning, we'll have that link where you can register. So again, I really want you to be there because if there's some money that you could get back or a tax credit to your account, I really want you to have it. All right? Thank you for joining me today. I hope I've shown you how these 2 recent tax court cases could impact your IRS penalties, interest, payments, balances during the COVID years. If you filed late, if you paid penalties, still owe, or you're on a payment plan, or you just watch your balance grow because of these penalties and interest during the COVID era, I strongly encourage you to attend my webinar. And if you know someone who needs this information or should be on that webinar, please share this episode with them. I tell y'all all the time, don't play in the IRS's face. Well, this time, I'm telling you, let's make sure the IRS isn't playing in your face. I'm Deltrease Hart-Anderson, keeping the IRS out of the pocketbooks, wallets, and bank accounts of taxpayers. Till next time, bye y'all.